Both stories have played out primarily in the popular press, highlighting how successful impact events can be in attracting attention. The desire for such attention is understandable in an environment where science and scientific funding are increasingly competitive. The National Science Foundation now emphasizes transformative research, and few events are as transformative as an impact. In an era when evolution, geologic deep time, and global warming are under assault, this type of science by press release and spectacular stories to explain unspectacular evidence consume the finite commodity of scientific credibility. Where's my monocle?
I was going to say, you know what's coming.
Snorts of derision. Yeah. Right. Well, so my thought is I'd like to take this unspectacular evidence. I'd like to take these guys and spend a week in the Channel Scablands with them.
Scablands, yeah.
No, nothing spectacular here. Nothing spectacular about a 900-foot, 2-mile wide waterfall.
Okay, so what he's talking about is Potholes Coulee here in Washington. This is a double cataract formation, which was formed by a waterfall. So at one time this was a waterfall. And if you measure both sides, it's about 1.5 miles wide. So a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's a very impressive feature. We get ravines up here, and then we get the U shape of the cataracts here. And then you also get dry falls here, which is another great example of a double cataract formation. Let's check the width on this guy. If you count both of them, it's a little over 1 mile. But if you go there, it's absolutely breathtaking how much massive erosion is around here. All these ruts, all these mounds. And there's a parking lot here. When you look out, it looks really far away. And it's quite a spectacular thing to imagine a waterfall coming off of here. Okay, so that's what he's talking about.
Nothing spectacular about that. And then, of course, go ahead, retreat into your proglacial lake ice dam theory. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, please do that. Because I think we need to talk about that. Because if it ain't that, it's something else. And I don't think that's it. See?
Okay, so he's basically saying his idea is that all of this erosion, right? He's talking about the channeled scablands. That's these features here. These are all the channeled scablands that came down. All these ruts, all this water damage, all these mounds, right? So clearly there was massive discharge of water coming down into the Washington Basin, right? And so he's basically the underdog, while the other main scientists are saying, oh no, it's just an ice dam, this was full of glacier meltwater, blah, blah, blah. But he's talking about, the massive Laurentide ice sheet being here and an asteroid coming, creating a massive melting of the Laurentide ice sheet that then caused all of this water erosion in an incredible event. That's his theory, right? And his theory fits this erosion much better because it's not just a glacier melt, a breakage of the meltwater lake here, because that would only leave one area. The channeled scablands cover a vast area, right? So, that's 136 miles right there, right? And it's all channeled scablands. And then it even has, massive erosional paths. And there's even drumlins in here that indicate a current from the north up from this direction in Canada. So that would make sense with the Laurentide ice sheet being hit with an asteroid. Okay. But in this video, I'm going to specifically talk about what he mentioned as a 2-mile wide waterfall or massive cataracts, right? So he explained to me how a cataract is a U-shaped erosional feature from water pouring off, and it's combined with ravines and plunge pools, right? So those are what we're going to look for, okay? So now let's go and find some real erosion. This is Argentina, and we find the same feature, double cataract formation. We've got a little strip in between from what was remained uneroded, but this is real erosion. Check this out. "10 miles wide." Okay, so this is obviously way bigger than Washington's little pothole coulee, right? There's always a bigger fish, and in this case, Argentina has quite the scablands. So all these areas are scablands. For example, here you can see a lot of plunge pool erosional paths and ravines, right? We can see how these are scablands. Now, both of these places also have salt pans, so I believe that's an important indicator as well. Let's go over here. This guy's a nice one here, actually. It's got the plunge pool. It's got the U shape. 4 miles wide. And the law of, in geology, there's a law called the law of original horizontality, which means that something like this lava rock was originally laid down horizontal. And that means that all of these are I guess it doesn't really have that much to do with what I'm talking about, but basically what I'm saying is all this rock was originally flat, and these are all erosional paths, okay? That's where the thought was going, okay? But yeah, so you got to check out these scablands. So he's talking about the channeled scablands. What about the Argentina channeled scablands that go right into the ocean and have extreme correlation with salt, right? Salt, the ocean, scablands. Maybe we can put those three things together, right? Remember how we said if it isn't his theory, then it's something else, and I don't think that's it. Well, obviously we know what he was referring to, but I do think that's it because of the evidence of the erosional paths, right? What am I talking about? I'm talking about ocean currents being the major source of erosion on the entire Earth. Hence the name erosion of Earth. It's all about ocean currents. Okay, now check this out. We're in Ireland, double cataract formation. Is it bigger than Washington's pothole coulee? Yes, it is. It's got nice plunge pools. Now, of course, these are not considered cataracts because they're so far north that they'd be considered cirques, right? Which is something glaciers make, but they're not made by glaciers. They're the exact features of a cataract. And a way we can know that for certain is by looking at this ravine here, which is pointed and it's V-shaped. Okay. This is too steep and narrow and too pointed for it to be made by a glacier. All of these are, in fact, actually cataracts. Okay, now we're in India. Now this is an amazing landscape of cataracts because you don't just get cataracts that are rounded and pointed, right? Rounded and pointed. So you have, let me just get a width on this so we know what we're dealing with here. 1.8, okay? Way bigger than both of pothole coulee and dry falls combined. That's 4 cataracts that this dominates, right? And this is in India. Okay. Anybody talking about the India flood? Well, I guess the Indians are, but ancient Indians. But yeah, anyways, that's a feature of a cataract right there. And I guess I'll go to another spot. Okay, now we're in Colorado. Look at this feature. We get the cataract and we get the sudden ravine that leans into them. Just like what we saw here in Washington, we get the ravine and then the cataract. Okay, cataract or ravine and then cataract. Ravine, I call these sudden ravines because they're not from water. They're not from rainwater. They're from water pouring off a ledge. Right, and this is also a cataract formation. You get a rounded shape here. Kind of interesting multi-stage or multi-part cataract. But nonetheless, that's what it is. Let's get a width on this guy. Okay. Now we're in, I don't know, guess. Where do you think this is? Let's get a width on this guy. 1.2, okay. Bigger than Pothole Coulee, or Dry Falls, rather. Where do you think these are? Let's take a width on this guy. From bank to bank, 1.9. Pretty serious spot. Let's see if you guys can recognize where this is. Grand Canyon. El Grando Canyon. Okay. Look at this feature here. All this rock was laid down originally horizontal, and all of this was eroded away. Okay, and we can see a terrace here. And then the V-shaped ravine in the middle. So you have U-shape and then V-shape. Both of them formed by water. Okay, let's take a width on this guy. 2.6. All right, that's pretty impressive. Now check this out. This is one of my favorites. This is just north of the Grand Canyon. I believe it's, let's see how wide it is. 3.17. Pretty decent. So you get this, and then the ravine in here. This one was formed first when the current was being much more catastrophic. Then this came later. And then here's our river today. Where is it? Oh my gosh, I can't even freaking find it. But anyways, we can at least measure this little guy here. In feet, let's see, 65 feet. Right, so that gives us an idea of the width of a flooding event in the wintertime. Whenever they have floods, that's what it's creating it on the modern scale. Then we zoom out, and this was before that, right? Let's just talk about what we only know. Keep it real simple. Before that, it was 1.3 miles wide. And before that, bank to bank, 3.5. Right. Pretty decent little cataract there. I like that spot. And Grand Canyon's down here. But when we go over here, we find some more cataracts. Right. And there's kind of an erosion path going this way. And we're going to talk about that in later videos. But there's a reason why there's a parallel rut system here. Okay, let's keep going. Where are we here? Probably like Wyoming or something. Anyways, double cataract formation. All right, we get one big cataract. We get the double ruts, just like the double cataracts we've been seeing, all over the place. And look at the way this one curves, right? Clearly that's from water making such a sharp turn, right? That's a right angle turn, sweeps around. And then we have drumlins here. Drumlins definitely are a feature that can be created by water flow. Okay, that is an absolute fact. Whether they can be made by ice, I highly doubt that. Okay, New Mexico. Nice little mesa here. We get a decent ravine coming across here. And then we get our cataract here. And let's see how wide it is, 1.2. This kind of looks like a little terrace step here, like it's been terraced. Wow, I guess that's exactly what happened. That's crazy. Terraces. And this is a cool mesa there. I like this mesa because it's an intermediary. Right, so imagine a current coming through here, and this is what remains as an intermediary. Somewhat streamlined. Let's just go one more spot and call it a video after we find one more spot. Let's find these guys. Since we're talking about mesas, we get two mesas here with cataracts, both in the same, showing the same current direction. Okay, these are streamlined. Now this one looks like it's from the Scablands because it's got mounds, parallel ruts, showing a lot of water damage on top of this mesa. And then we get that ravine. It's kind of hard to see. Before they updated, it actually showed it better, but there's this nice ravine that snakes through here. And it's a V-shaped one. Okay, that's all for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you guys can like, subscribe, comment, and tell all your friends about it. And if you got any questions, please tell me in the comments. I'll get back to you. If there's a topic you want me to discuss specifically, I can do that as well. And I'm just going to make a ton of videos because there's so much evidence of something that happened. There's a lot of evidence of something that happened. So you guys stay tuned to see what that was. See what is going on with the erosion of Earth. I'll give you one more hint. The erosion of Earth. What happened? Okay, I'm making it too obvious. It's getting too obvious now. You gots to go.